I'm Rachel Horgan. Join me each episode as I sit down with a guest co-host covering the latest business stories in the Seattle area. We'll read the news so you don't have to. This is The Weekly episode.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just unserious. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. This is what we need. Okay, this week I'm going to do something a little bit different, which is kind of just chat with a friend of mine who, isn't a CEO of a company, but is doing a really cool job that we don't really hear from that often. And I wanted to explore that area. So we're going to mostly talk to her about it, and then we'll do a quick recap of the news at the end. Again, I just like to kind of play around and do different things with this podcast. So sitting here with me is Sam Farquharson, creative director and lead writer for Ampersand, and also the commercial director for the production arm of that company. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Happy to be here. I don't normally sound like this. I'm recovering from a little bit of a sickness, so you get the smoky version of my voice.
I think honestly, as a creative director, it makes you sound like it fits with the vibe.
I have more authority.
Well, I think you're just like artsy and cool.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Sam and I are in a writing club that we started. It consists of me, you, and my buddy Andrew. Oh, and this guy Peter invited to be part of the club. I meant to tell you.
Great.
So we meet once a month and we work on our writing because I want to get more into film this year. So far, we've done nothing. We've met twice.
We've had brunch.
We met last time and I was like, I've not started. And
we've had a couple drinks and we've written zero things.
But we've talked.
We've talked a lot.
Once we get something down,
and once we start, you don't even know.
Just watch out, people.
You don't even
Big
know.
things are coming.
Yeah.
Our next meeting is next week, by the way. So
yeah, it is. I'm ready. I'm not ready currently,
same.
But I will be ready.
We will. Yeah. Okay, so creative director. You've worked in the past as a copywriter and a creative director for a few companies over the years. Really quick, what does a creative director do? Because I think a lot of people may not know exactly what that means.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's hard to answer that question with like a straight up like XYZ, this is a creative director, because it kind of depends on the company. I have a really multifaceted role at my agency. It's a small team and a lot of us do a bunch of different things. So day to day, I'm, either writing or doing, creative leadership for certain projects or planning a shoot or even on set, directing a shoot. And so I feel like my role's a little bit non-traditional. But generally the role of creative director is to be the creative leader for a team in the room for a project. It's your job to make sure the creative work is at the quality bar that it needs to be and help your team get there. So I think good creative directors don't necessarily jump in and like make the thing or do the thing unless absolutely necessary. They just kind of try to create an environment and provide the feedback to get the team to create the work where it needs to be. But, it's not like a totally cookie cutter thing. And honestly, my whole career, like I worked with some really, really talented creative directors. And then when I got that role, I was just like, I'm not good enough for that. Like, well, yeah, because it's like,
you put it on this pedestal and you think it's like this, and then you get there, you're like,
totally. It's like a big title,
Yeah.
And working in agencies for more than 10 years at this point, like, there's just a lot of charisma that goes behind the creative director role as well. And, and everyone has a different style, So I think when I stepped into creative leadership, I had a lot of imposter syndrome, shocker. But like, it was like less that I like didn't think I was capable and more that like, I'm not the type of, like, I like to talk and I have ideas and everything and I like to bring the energy, but like, I'm not going to like walk into the room and be like, and here's the way I think things need to go. And
we are so different.
And so
what I would do.
Like, unless like that is literally my role, like directing on sets, like you kind of need to know what's going on. But I'm not like, I really like riffing like off of other people, and I really like that whole like collaborative energy. So when I first stepped into this role, I had like a lot of insecurity because I was like, oh, does this mean I don't have like good enough ideas, or I'm not like a strong enough leader. But like what I've learned over time is like actually leadership isn't coming up with all the answers yourself or like doing all the things. It's just kind of knowing the direction things need to go.
Yeah.
Knowing when you need to pivot, knowing when you need to push harder, knowing when you need to just like totally ditch the script and try to do something different. So yeah, that's a very long, rambly answer, but
no, I like it. I think a lot of leaders could remember that they don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. They just need to have the direction. And when you say shoots and directing, I want people to know that you're on commercials. You're making commercials like that come on TV. And you mentioned you're on the agency side. So I think there's creative directors in corporations and there's creative directors in agencies, third-party type thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about your commercial stuff in a minute, but I want to start with your copywriting background. So as a copywriter, what do you say to leaders? I'm seeing this a lot of people like laying off their copywriter, not using it much because they can use AI. What would you say to a lot of those people, a lot of the CEOs saying that?
Yeah, it's like a really big question. I feel like it just, it's like the water we're swimming in, It's complicated because it's like, I'm not going to deny that AI and ChatGPT is like, not providing efficiency and sort of serving a need in some circumstances. But I do think it's like this statement of, you can completely replace XYZ creative role with AI is like pretty overstated. Like if you ask anybody who's like worked in this industry for long enough, if like they would replace, like if anybody who has worked with a talented copywriter, like if you ask them if they could replace what that copywriter did with ChatGPT, their answer would be no. Like it's not just getting words on the page. It's that strategic partnership. It's having somebody who is able, because a lot of copywriting is everything that orbits around the writing itself. It's like understanding the client, it's understanding the brand, it's understanding what they're trying to communicate, it's understanding their audience, what their audience wants to hear, and it's like, almost seeing that as a bridge that you're trying to connect. Like you're the person connecting it as the copywriter. And that requires a lot of context and that requires a lot of listening and relationship building. And, that's not even to bring in to the conversation about like taste and like editing and all that stuff. So
I think about voice too. Like I think you can put in a prompt, like make it sassy, make it this, but their brands will do a lot of work on describing their exact person, who there is, that voice. And the copywriter knows that pretty well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you can like train AI to be better at, embodying your brand voice. You can, there's a lot you can do. But I think the ceiling exists. The ceiling for AI as it stands now, especially from a writing perspective, is like, it's still an amalgamation of what's been said already or, what you as a brand are saying about yourself and putting out into the internet or, what other people are saying about your brand. And then the AI is. Yeah,
there's no new stuff.
Well, exactly. And it's like, and creative ideation is not 100% original. We're all riffing off of each other. But I think if you want to have like a strategic conversation, you want to like be working with a writer who has, to your point, sort of like embodied that brand voice, has spent time with that brand, and is also engaging with other media outside of your brand and outside of your industry to kind of bring all these tendrils together into what turns out to be a good idea. And so far as I've seen, I haven't encountered an AI product that's able to do that. And that is what like a strong creative is able to do. And then then there's the issue of accuracy. The really important thing is like, I've spent a lot of time writing for technical clients like, Microsoft and Amazon and stuff like that. And a lot of my job was research and figuring out how to accurately describe the product, how to accurately embody the voice. And obviously you can get AI there, but it's when you're working with a human being, they can like kind of hold all of those things together all at once.
Okay. I'm here for it. So everybody just play this for, your leader who's talking about replacing people with AI and be like, hold on, wait a second. I'm with you. I definitely see the value. And I think it's just going to be something that industry and department is going to be challenged with from here on forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So let's talk about I know you're a copywriter, not a copy editor, but what's your biggest copywriting pet peeve? Like when you see billboards or copy or what?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I edit a lot. I
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, so, I think part of being a good writer is being a good editor, not just from a following the style guide perspective, but
Sure.
being able to figure out if a line is actually good or not. What is a pet peeve of mine?
I can tell you mine. One of them is when people do 2 spaces after the period.
Oh, yeah, it makes you look old.
Well, I found out it's from typewriting days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other one is ending a sentence in a proposition.
That doesn't bother me as much.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know, sometimes it just sounds bad.
Yeah.
And you just need to change it. But I don't know, I'm a big advocate for the Oxford comma. I know that's kind of like a little bit trite, but
So for people that don't know, it's when you're listing, like, let's say 3 things. Like in this room, we have a drink, a microphone, a computer. So you put a comma after all 3 of those, right? Using the Oxford is having the comma.
Yeah, it's also known as a serial comma. It's like the thing that comes between the second and the third in the list, or the second to last and the last thing in a list.
Yeah.
And the elimination of the serial comma I did some research into this because I'm a nerd. The reason why AP Style has you not do it was because AP Style was mainly used for newspaper printing, and they wanted to cut down on ink.
Right.
And so they were anything that you don't need, and so they
this
removed
comma,
that.
who needs it?
Okay, but sometimes
I think you need it.
You need it.
I think it can be confusing.
And now it's just dumb because you're typing, you're not using ink. So
yeah, there's all these things that started back in the day, and we still use them. Okay, I want to talk about commercials.
Okay.
What's an example of the worst commercial you've seen, or maybe the best commercial, or any kind of thoughts on the commercial examples?
I don't know. I just watched a really good commercial. It was a really long one, but it was for Mont Blanc pens.
Oh, okay.
And it was directed by Wes Anderson. I know the whole Wes Anderson thing is such a meme or whatever, but I mean, he's a very talented director. And anyway, it just is so stupid. I think when a brand can really have a sense of humor and clearly has engaged with an artist for their perspective and their style, and you can tell that they were just do whatever you want, just mention our product. And this is great. I'll send you the link, but it's 2.5 minutes long, and it's Wes Anderson himself and Michael Cera and another guy whose name I don't remember. But the dialogue is just brilliant. It's so well written. And it's clearly them half riffing, but it's just totally Wes Anderson style. And I love commercials that are smart. Yeah. I love commercials that I feel they're respecting their audience. I think the worst commercials and the worst branding is when it's really obvious that they think their audience is dumb. Where they're sort of I mean, of course, if you have a sale, you're hammering on the sale. It just is, it's just making jokes that are not smart, or just being guy in football jersey talking to lady in football jersey. Can we not? Can we please chill? So yeah, there's a competitor of one of my clients in Texas. Our agency works with Total Wine & More, and they're great. But one of their big competitors out in Texas is this company called Specs. And I don't want to talk too much, but
this is what this podcast is for, please.
They have this out of home campaign that is totally AI generated. Getting back to AI, and it just is the illustrations are super obviously AI. It's these AI people, and then there's little talk bubbles or whatever. And it's one thing for it to be AI generated, where you're just okay, whatever. And it's just the writing's not smart. It doesn't make sense. The context doesn't make sense. It's not clear what they're selling.
Sure.
You don't need to make me laugh, but if you're going to do something boring, at least make it clear what you're selling. Don't waste my time. If you're wasting my time, I'm out.
Well, okay, so Sam, how many people, I've often thought about this, how many people are in a room to approve a commercial? Because I'll give an example of Boss Nation, which was the new NWSL women's soccer team that came to Boston because they were launching the new team there. They did this whole pretty big campaign about there's too many balls in Boston, and they showed, I'll see if I can put a clip in here for that commercial.
Boston loves its balls, but maybe there are too many balls in this town.
And they showed a bunch of men's sports, and they're there's too many balls in Boston. It's time for women's soccer. And not only did it centralize men in the commercial, which makes no sense, it also didn't make sense because soccer, you have a ball. I know what they're talking about, but I'm they were trying to be funny and play off of like men having balls, but then it just, again, didn't align. So I'm like, how many people had to approve that commercial when they had to apologize for it? They got roasted completely. And I think they ended up like taking it down. But how many people are approving something like a Total Wine & More commercial?
Yeah, I mean, it like depends on the company. Obviously, like NDA can't give too much about our clients, but
okay.
But yeah, there's like a lot of approvers. Like if it's a big company, you assume there's a lot of people that are kind of like overseeing it, and it's less like everybody sitting in the room, and it's more like, you know, you have a main client, and then that client shows it to their boss, and then that boss shows it to their boss, you know, and sort of it's like a game of telephone. And sometimes you're, you know, presenting to the entire room. It kind of depends on like the culture of that company that you're working with. Like Microsoft, for instance, they are a huge organization. There's hundreds of teams within that company. And so you're typically like only interacting with like that team.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like their direct teams like that they
But like at least
with.
5 people.
At least 5 people, yeah. And I feel like stuff like that, like the issue is not like, oh, there were too many people in the room or there like weren't enough people in the room. It's who was in the room.
Right.
You know, like, the friggin' like Sydney Sweeney bullshit. Like,
right.
You know, like, okay, so
yeah.
Did nobody think that through? Did we not care?
It's so true. So I worked for a pretty large company here, and as the events person, I was on the brand team. So I got invited to the brand meeting where they presented the new commercial that they were going to launch for this big company. And they presented it, and I thought it was the dumbest fucking thing. And they were like, the agency and I, we talked, and we really think this is going to land with like the younger generation. And I'm at the time the youngest by far in that room by like at least 20 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, did anyone ask my generation? Because this is clearly something you guys made up that you thought, you know what I mean? So like to your point, it really depends on who's in the room and thinks that that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. You should always get someone's opinion that is not your generation or not your socioeconomic experience. You do need those other perspectives. 100%.
So I just thought of another example. I saw this in some training I was in, and talking about how diversity also needs to think about kind of what it means to other people. So the commercial was going to be about a dad and a son having the talk, which was going to be about like using protection when having sex. But they cast a black family, and a dad having a black dad having a talk with his black son about the talk means something entirely different. It means like how to present yourself with the police and all that kind of stuff. And so it's one of those things where it's like, if there isn't somebody in the room to say, hey, I think that means something kind of different, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so last question, and then we'll do a quick recap, and then hopefully I can convince you to come to happy hour with me. So what I was going to ask, what your biggest challenge is working with corporations as a creative director, because you and I kind of talked about this a bit, of coming up with like a really cool creative idea, but then the company's like, but how do I get an ROI from that? Or how does that tie back to our stuff? Like, can you talk about what those conversations are like and why those are frustrating?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, sometimes it's frustrating, sometimes it's not. And, you know, you kind of have to like, ultimately, like working at an advertising agency is you're in client service, you know, it's like, and so we always kind of have to come back to that of like, yeah, as creatives, like we have our own egos and we have our own perspectives and we have our own ideas, but like ultimately the client is paying for the work and it's for their brand and it's for their, you know, KPIs and their goals. And so there's a certain amount of like, we do have to sort of, it's not really all about us, and it shouldn't be. But I think corporations, especially larger ones, and going back to our conversation about like how many people are in the room, right? Like they're really challenged by their structures sometimes, because it's like people can have really good intentions and all really like want the output to be great. But like it's not like the more people actually that you bring in, it's people that you're like, if you're seeking too many opinions from external teams or too many people that like don't have context for like what you're trying to accomplish, then it can get really watered down. So like, for example, if you had like a really strong campaign idea that you and your direct client you as the agency and your direct client are like aligned on, but then they take that to their boss and then their boss then takes it to their boss and then, you know, then they have to go and get that reviewed. Like it is really a game of telephone, and like every single layer that you go beyond that idea gets a little bit diluted. And so it's really what's challenging about that situation because it's in many ways unavoidable. What's challenging is like making sure you have a really good, you're communicating the idea really well as the agency, like in the materials that you're providing. So you want to create decks that are like able to what we call walk. So decks, like if you're not...
Sounds very corporate speak.
I know. Hey, we've got the jargon. But yeah, we're like, if you're not in the room, like they're able to sort of like pick up on it. And it's really important that like your client is able to advocate for the idea and sometimes like courageously back it. So some of the coolest stuff I've gotten to work on is because our clients were very courageously like standing up for it.
Yeah.
Because they're having to do as much advocating for it internally as you have to do externally.
Totally.
So treating that as a partnership, I think, is like a way to set that corporate relationship up for success. But it is just sort of like a big conversation that you're not in the room for all of. And so like that's what's really challenging about working with bigger companies.
Do you feel like a lot of corporations don't, like they maybe look at it too black and white and they're like,
yeah, I mean, I think
it doesn't
like,
mention our sale. How will they know? You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, I think especially if it's like a stressful time, especially if it's sort of like, you know, sales this quarter weren't super good. And so there's sort of like a fixation on, you know, a certain element that might create a little bit of tunnel vision, like for the brand.
Yeah.
Like that can be challenging. And then, you know, it's like, it goes back to our conversation about bringing in external perspectives and being open to them. Like, I think when you work internally for like one brand, like you're used to using certain language and like certain things are important to you because you are like eating, sleeping, breathing this thing like day in and day out for multiple years and decades in some circumstances. And so you accidentally sort of like talk to other people like you when you are like coming up with those ideas. And so that's the benefit of an agency, is having a creative partner that's external, that's providing that perspective. And I think a downfall is when clients are maybe not aware of how insular their creative perspective might be.
Yeah.
Sometimes they need to sort of like trust and like take a step back. But I also recognize how hard that is to do, especially when you're spending a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. We're going to move into, thank you for talking about creative direction. I feel like I could talk about kind of the creative part of companies for a long time.
Yeah, same.
Okay. We're going to get into our news recap. Here we go. All right. For those that remember, the OGs, I think it was our very first episode, there was a voyeurism case at Expedia. Did you hear about this at all?
No.
Okay. So I don't want to do the whole entire story, but basically this guy, he's 44, he works at Expedia headquarters, and he put spy cameras in the bathrooms.
Oh, God.
And I found out from reading this on under people's desks and in his car in the passenger side and even in one of the victims' homes.
Dude.
And he had, what did it say? 20 terabytes of footage. That's a lot, right? This is insane. I don't know why I'm laughing because it's sad, but it's also like crazy.
But also, what were you like recording in 4K? Like,
that's almost so much footage. So he gets in trouble, and the update that came out is that he got 4 years in prison. He pled guilty to first-degree voyeurism and 2 counts of violation of sexual assault protection order because he contacted one of the victims to try and convince her not to testify.
Dude.
So that's that update, everybody.
Why do men? Why?
Next one is Uwajimaya expands to Tacoma. So do you know any of the history?
Very exciting. I love Uwajimaya. Uwajimaya? Uwajimaya.
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 I don't know. I say it with confidence.
I'm Korean, you guys. I'm failing.
Oh, gosh.
It's quarter Korean, and I'm failing my ancestors.
In 1928, the founders opened the first Japanese grocery store in Tacoma. Do you know this?
No.
Okay, great. I'll tell you. So in 1928, the founders
She sent me these news stories in an email, and I didn't read them.
It's actually better that you didn't, because then you can enjoy them for the first time. So they opened this Japanese grocery store in Tacoma. The grandparents that opened them opened this store was forced from their business and their home during World War II, and they were held at the Tule Lake incarceration camp in California. So they were kicked out, I know. And then they were eventually released, and they come back to the Pacific Northwest to what is now the International District. So years and years go on. They have the Uwajimaya store again, but now it's being run by the granddaughter, Denise Moriguchi, and she is now opening a store in Tacoma again, kind of harken to the first store, and that'll open in 2027.
Wow.
Isn't that sweet?
I freaking love that.
I know. I thought that was cool. So it's a big story. Everyone's been talking about it, and it's nice. Okay, now sad story. Blue Star Cafe closes. I went there for the first time literally a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God. That's actually so sad, though. I used to live like 4 blocks from there or something, and we went there a lot.
It's like a classic kind of diner vibe.
Yeah, it's classic diner vibe. I mean, it's not like it's it's not like a Michelin star experience or anything. Not like you would want that, but like the fries were good, and they had good trivia nights, and really good options for vegan.
Oh, there you go.
People. Yeah.
I think what I'm finding sad about some of these things is how long they've been around. So the owner, Wendy Morales, announced that this diner is closing February 1st. In 1975, her father opened a diner called Eggs, etc. I thought you would like that.
Yeah.
Get it? In Madison Park, and eventually expanded. He owned Sweetwater in Redmond, and then he bought Blue Star in the mid-90s. Eventually, the other restaurants closed, but this one stayed, so he kept Blue Star. He retired in 2009, and that's when Wendy took over, his daughter, and he passed away in 2016. So we didn't see this cafe close, which I think
that's good.
Right?
That's sad.
I know. And why is this closing? Wendy says, quote, rising operational costs like labor, food, taxes, utilities, and fewer people dining out, which is a story we've heard over and over.
I feel like especially, the Seattle restaurant scene, you hear that a lot. Did you see the Water Wheel closed too?
Yes.
Officially?
Where they have the karaoke. Yeah.
I know. My favorite karaoke bar.
We should sing karaoke.
Yeah.
We have a lot to do. Okay. Next update, some cider updates. Okay. So Locust Cider shuts down their tap rooms is one story. So I'll do that one first. Locust was based out of Gig Harbor. They've closed all but one of its tap rooms in Washington, and they're going to focus on grocery and retail distribution. The founder and CEO, Jason Spears, cited steep costs in the hospitality industry, and that's why he's closing it. If you think this story sounds familiar, as I did, it's because I said the exact same thing about Heritage Distilling, who also is closing their tap rooms but keeping their retail. So that's one story. The other story is Seattle Cider, so think Seattle Dry Cider, you guys have probably seen the logo, is acquired by Two Towns Cider.
Oh, interesting.
So Two Towns is based out of Oregon, Corvallis specifically, which is where my parents and my brother live. So,
nice. I like Two Towns.
Okay, so Two Towns is based out of Corvallis. It's the second largest in the country. I did not know that. That's large.
Wait, like largest cider?
Cidery, yeah.
Largest cider. Biggest big boy
Big cider.
She's a writer, folks.
Okay, they now have acquired Seattle Cider Company. Two Towns plans to keep the Seattle Cider brand. Production will move to Corvallis, so the Soto production space and the tap room will close February 26th. Now, here's an interesting stat. I have started drinking a lot more cider lately, and in Oregon, of alcohol sales, cider makes up about 8% of alcohol sales. In Washington, it's about 7%. National average, 1%.
Whoa.
So us PNWs are drinking a lot of cider, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah. Is this a good thing for the cider industry as a whole? Personally, I don't think so. I feel like it's good to have competition and not just have one company buying up all the others, and you're not getting diversity. But
yeah.
Here we are.
Do you think we're big on cider because we have a lot of apples?
We are the largest place that import of apples.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Or
that
there's
probably
apples,
is.
there's
I
cider.
thought because we're kind of like hippie and healthy or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe both.
Okay. Okay, the last story is Microsoft says, we promise we'll be good. Let us have those data centers. That's how
Daddy!
Please, come on. We'll pay the bills or whatever. That's how I read this article.
Incredible.
There's growing opposition to data centers because electricity bills are high and water supply be low. Microsoft says, we got a plan. We'll pay all the power cost. We won't take property tax breaks. And we're going to replenish more water than it uses. And also we'll use local workers. And we're going to invest in AI education and community programs. Please let us have it.
Wow.
And then Brad Smith, he is quoted in this article, and he went to his hometown, and he's like, wait, you guys are mad at me? So then he decided to do this change. So we'll see if Amazon follows suit. I think they all kind of are realizing that we're not vibing with.
Yeah, I'm curious about the element of replacing more than the water that you use.
Yeah, some reporter asked Brad, are you going to follow through? And he's like, we have to. So it's okay.
Like, what does that look like, though? Like, what's your plan?
I don't know. I'm just picturing like Costco pallets of bottled water. You're like, here you go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, so that's been your news update of the week. And our closing question, I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to creative direct this episode and tell me what I should ask at the end, because I'm kind of struggling with this season.
Okay, well, I was trying to come up with something like super leadery and insightful, but instead I came up with what's the latest. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, unfortunately, chronically, yes.
Okay, incredible. What is your most recent TikTok rabbit hole?
I thought you were going to say recent, like TikTok search.
No, I would never put you on blast.
It's probably like heated rivalry recaps or something.
Heated rivalry, this specific episode. Episode 5.
What's my TikTok rabbit hole? Okay, so I really like a cappella music because I started an a cappella group. I don't know if you know that.
I knew that.
And there's this woman that takes regular songs and makes them into kind of like church hymns, because I like so she sang Itsy Bitsy Spider as like a choir.
Like she sings every part?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. You know what? I'm going to play a little clip of it here.
Yeah, itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout.
Okay.
Incredible.
That's a great question.
Hey, thanks.
Okay, but not all my guests are on TikTok, but I might ask what they're...
Well, if they're on Reels, they're seeing 2 weeks later TikTok.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Mine, you didn't ask, but I
did. Sorry. Oh my God, I forgot. Okay. What's your TikTok rabbit hole?
Sorry, I'm blowing out your audio levels. Okay, recently... so like I've had to have like short nails my whole life because, I like bit them for a long time. But also like I play violin, so they can never like get past a certain length or I can't play. So anyway, I have this like weird, but I like love how nails look. And so I have like found myself following and liking like every post of these like acrylic artists that like do these really cool nail sets, and it's literally them just like filming interactions like with their clients and like getting briefed on it and then like showing them making the nails and then the final nails. Like literally that's it. I spent an hour doing that.
That's art. Okay, Sam, well, thank you so much for sitting down with me and recapping the business news. I've loved it. And we have 1 week to write a screenplay.
Yes, and I think that
I'm totally going to do it.
It's going to be so good.
So good.
Thank you so much for having me. This is super fun. Yeah.
Yes, of course. All right. That's it, folks. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
This has been The Weekly, with production assistance from Nick Patry. If you liked what you heard, rate us and write a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. We love listener feedback, so if you have any story suggestions, comments, or complaints, email us at info@theweeklyseattle.com. Make sure to check back next Sunday for the latest local business news. We'll see you next time.